this is my favorite.
Free Tours by Foot DC. Now, in the fall of last year, November of 2020, we recorded an entire virtual tour of the National Mall. But it wasn't until after we recorded that we discovered that the files were corrupted and we couldn't use it. However, the whole section about the Korean War Veterans Memorial was salvageable. Now, being that it is Memorial Day weekend and that the Korean War Veterans Memorial is currently mostly closed, we thought we'd release this portion of a little virtual tour of the Korean War Memorial. Now, what they are doing, and the ground broke on Friday, so about a week ago, they're adding a Wall of Remembrance. So right now, as you'll see in the rest of this video, there is a field of statues, a reflective wall that have images on it, but there's no part of the memorial that had a wall of names, very similar to how the Vietnam Veterans Memorial is designed. So the Wall of Remembrance is going to have over 36,000 names of American soldiers who served in the Korean War and gave the ultimate sacrifice. It will also have about 7,000 names of those for the Korean Army. Now, it's going to take a while for this to be built, and during that time, part of the memorial is going to be closed. So right now, if you were to visit the Korean War Veterans Memorials on any of our National Mall tours, or even on your own, you're only going to be able to see that wall of faces. The field of statues and the reflecting pool are all currently blocked off and closed. So hopefully you can use this video to get a sense of what the memorial should look like. And when they reopen everything, probably not till 2022, we'll have a whole other virtual tour video all about it. And in the future, we're gonna actually refilm and complete the virtual tour of the National Mall. So make sure you're subscribed to our channel so you get a notification for when that comes up. So this video was filmed in the autumn. Things have changed and haven't changed since then, but just keep that in mind. This video is about 8 months old, though the memorial itself is going to be pretty much exactly the same, just with an addition. All right, on to the tour.
So this is my favorite. And unlike the World War II, where I say you should go against the norm of the best time of day to visit, everyone will tell you that the best time to visit the Korean War Veterans Memorial is at night, and that is right. I like to leave the bloopers in. We're real people. Help support us. Tour guides who can't give tours anymore and have to give them on YouTube. Where was I? So, the Korean War was 1950 to 1953, 38 active months of fighting. The war technically still kind of going on. We never really signed a treaty. It was a ceasefire. But we consider the ceasefire, the 1953, those 38 months, to be the Korean War. And 38 has a very significant number, both in the Korean War and this memorial. So 38 months of fighting. The 38th parallel is still what separates North and South Korea to this day. And inside the memorial, you have 38 statues. Now, if you pause and you count the statues behind me, there's only 19. There's actually 19 statues, and then they're reflected in the black granite wall. It's kind of parallel to the Vietnam Wall. That black granite reflective wall reflects the 19 statues. 19 statues, 19 reflections, that's going to equal 38. Now, the statues are kind of like a platoon on patrol, headed out of this forested area into open grounds. And as you go through and you can look at their faces, they look like real men. You can see the fear, the uneasiness in their faces. They're just taller than life size. And they represent all different ethnicities and different branches of military. So in those 19 statues, you're going to have 14 Army. The 14 Army helmets are unbuckled. 3 Marines, their helmets are buckled. 1 Navy, he's a corpsman, he has a medic bag. And 1 Air Force, he's a forward observer. So he'll have a kind of a different helmet, a different hat on than all of the rest of them. And as we walk through this memorial, you'll be able to see that more up close as we go. Now I'm going to take you in just a little bit and continue to tell you about it before we walk through in our respectful silence of this memorial. We're going to go in this direction. There's really no correct way to walk into the memorial. But on your left, there's a low-lying wall, and that will list the United Nations. The Korean War wasn't just an American effort. And as you're walking through and looking at this list of names, you might see a country that you're like, I don't think they provided troops. And it's not necessarily troops that we're honoring. But it is the aid, the medical staff, the equipment that various United Nations countries provided. So let's walk through the memorial together. this memorial in the autumn is my favorite. Most things in the autumn are my favorite, but this one in particular.
This is a really special memorial.
So looking at the statues, you'll also notice that there are juniper bushes. The kind of the rugged terrain of the Koreas is what this is meant to represent. And if you look at their ponchos on the bottom corners, you'll see the little, what are they called? The holes. Rivets? Not rivets. I'll have to figure out the word and then re-edit it into this. But these ponchos also doubled as their tents. So you'd buddy up, you'd put your weapons up, put the ponchos over them, and you could use those holes to kind of tie the things together. So it was a difficult war to fight in. Very much like the American Civil War, many of the men who died during the Korean War didn't necessarily die due to injuries received while fighting. It was due to the conditions that they were fighting in. The wall, the black granite wall that you see from a distance, it's meant to look like the rolling hills of the Koreas. But when we get up close, you're going to notice these are actually faces. And they aren't artistic representations of what someone might have looked like. They are real faces of real people. They use photographs from the archives and etch them there on the wall. And they represent military police and medics and paratroopers, all the different branches of military. One thing you'll notice that we have at all of our veterans memorials and like even the United States Capitol building, obviously you have the American flag, the black flag flying underneath it. It says POW MIA, that's prisoner of war missing in action, and that will fly at all of our veterans memorials. At the point of the kind of the triangle that these statues make, no matter when you visit, you will always see a wreath. Now I pointed at the World War II, that's not all that common here, there's always at least one. And that is always provided by the Embassy of South Korea. And there's always a fresh one put here each week. So what you'll notice at this memorial is also something we have at the Lincoln Memorial, it's something we have at Bobby Kennedy's Memorial in Arlington, the Capitol, is a reflecting pool. Still water represents calmness and serenity. So reflecting pools at memorials are very common. And this one it lists the dead, the missing, and the captured, both for the United States and for the United Nations as a whole. But I think the most probably well-known, most famous part of this memorial is this quote on the wall behind me, which says, "Freedom is not free." It's kind of the idea of why we have these memorials at all. Who are they honoring? And they honor the men and women who made sure that we were able to keep our freedom, and they did give a sacrifice, be it their lives, their time, or something else that I'm not saying very eloquently right now, and I will edit out. So we're going to walk down along this wall now so you can see the faces carved in, but it's really something you need to see in person. It's hard to capture in film, both seeing your reflection, just like the Vietnam Wall, but also the way they're etched in is kind of hard to tell 2D, and this is not a 3D video. Don't know how to do that on YouTube yet. But as we walk down, I want to point out something, a little secret hidden tidbit at the end of this memorial. Come with me. So I don't know if it's coming across on the camera, but the ground is wet, and I assure you it has not rained anytime soon, and you'll notice the ground nowhere else is wet. Something that anyone can do. You can do it. We at Free Tours by Foot did it once. You can volunteer to watch the memorial. So you get a really unique chance to come here. very early in the day before anyone else is here, honor these veterans by keeping the memorial clean, but you also get to go amongst the statues, which is something you cannot normally do. Only do it with the permission of the park ranger here, and only do it with a broom in hand to help clean the strips of granite marble that go through. So looking at the etchings on the wall, you'll see that they represent, different men from all different branches, all different positions with this branch. But one thing that you'll notice is that they're all looking out at you. And this was done on purpose. It's a little bit unnerving, but again, these are real people. You are looking into the eyes of someone who actually served into the Korean War. There is not a written record of who is who, so you can't look up a list of someone to see exactly who they are. You'll also notice that in addition to men serving, they also represent the women who served, the doctors, the nurses, the clerical staff, anyone who put forth, or anyone who was there in the work effort. But it is not just men and women who did their part in the Korean War. My favorite part of this memorial is, I don't know if you're going to really be able to see it so well on camera, but the easiest way to find it when you come visit in person is look for, sadly, a dark spot on the wall. The dark spot is from all the fingers reaching up to touch it, which I encourage you not to do. That ruins the wall. But just above the dark spot, you'll see a dog. There's a little German Shepherd carved on the wall just above my hand. I don't know how well it comes across. I've named him Roscoe. There's not an official name. If you time it right and you look at the Wikipedia page, I occasionally change it to say that his name is Roscoe, but there's nothing more than me, a historian, stating it to make it actually true. But fun little thing to look for on the wall. We're going to walk behind the wall now. We're going to walk behind the statues now. Another reason I find this memorial kind of unnerving and eerie as you walk through is there's always someone who can see you. The statues all face in different directions, so there's always someone watching you, because remember, these men are on patrol and they need to look all around them to make sure that they are walking into safety rather than walking into danger. Okay. So today is Tuesday, November something. I have no idea. But for the longest time, for the decade of being a tour guide here in Washington, D.C., I've always said, well, these are our 3 veterans memorials. And there you have it. Tomorrow, actually, I'll be posting this video later next week. So today, as of whenever you watch this, that's no longer true. Wednesday, November, whatever tomorrow is, they are dedicating the National American Indian Veterans Memorial at the American Indian Museum, a Smithsonian here in Washington, D.C. We hope to be doing a virtual tour of that memorial after it opens. So keep an eye out. Make sure you are subscribed to our channel. It'll be a little while before we can post that video because we need to learn all about it before we can tell you all about it. But if you subscribe to our channel, make sure you click that bell notification. It will send an email directly to you telling you that the video is up and ready for you to learn all about it.